I just had an experience that was really extreme, and I haven't had that kind of an experience in quite that way in quite a while. An experience from extreme pain to extreme relief. With quite a lot of pressure and quite a sudden, almost like the experience of giving birth. Although that was not what I would call suffering. That was very much empowering here. But kind of akin to the psychedelic experience that can happen, or any kind of like extreme releases that I don't seek. I don't think I ever really sought them because I'm really trying. The conditioning here and the disposition, the metabolism, the temperament here prefers calmness, prefers not to have drama, prefers just grounding, nesting. I think I felt like a grandma when I was 5 years old, so there's that preference. And yet life seems to have a sense of humor. And the experience that I just had, I'm not going to name because it's private. I'm okay. It's more medical than anything else. And I would share it with an individual, but not publicly. And I say that just to kind of give context that this might seem a little bit abstract. But I could give a metaphor that even happened to my mom recently of getting a big splinter in her foot, the foot that the doctor couldn't even remove, that she had to go to a special foot person. So for 2 days, she walked around with this giant splinter in her foot. It was like extreme pain, extreme discomfort, pressure. And then the nervous system, the conditioning, like the way that life has moved through, responds to that pure pain. It kind of builds this pressure, and then it's removed. At a cellular level, this extreme relief. I think sometimes we seek these extreme releases in healing modalities or seeking spiritually, or even just through addictions or coping mechanisms. We seek the extremes because we think that the effort is gonna match the outcome. Like the more extreme, the more intense, the longer it'll last. That hasn't been my experience. I mean, in some ways, sure. But the striving doesn't correlate one-to-one with the outcome. The outcome isn't an outcome. Any kind of freedom or liberation just leads to more life unfolding. And the work that I do, the healing work, the therapy work, the spiritual work that I do, what I see to be most healing for people there can be explosive releases along the way, but those are more the scenery. It's like metabolizing something where, you're digesting, you're processing, you're reorganizing, you're taking in a whole new diet, so to speak, and allowing, like, releasing the old stuff to just come up and through and out. And there might be like gas, there might be burping and like a release, but those releases aren't the integration, the assimilation, the fluidity of the system attuning to just this moment rather than being frozen. So the curiosity coming up now with this like lovely soft release that's being carried in the body is this sense of like freedom from extremes that's talked about. That even I think is subtly embedded in the seeking of extreme relief is the freedom from it. And objectively, how does that unfold in a world that is increasingly more extreme? Appears to be. And I say appears to be because on a unity level, or whatever you want to call it, there's no measurements. And on a human level, absolutely. More extreme busyness in humanity. More extreme polarization, more extreme climate, more extreme temperature, more extreme weather, more extreme repression, because many are pretending that all of these shifts and changes aren't being felt. Extreme spiritual repression, like numbing, cutting off from the unconditional love that we are, the unconditional sensitivity that feels all these ripples, doesn't have to be harmed by them or crumble under them, but absolutely resonates and vibrates. And here in the sensitivity of this body, personally, absolutely the extremes of this human world make freedom from metabolic extreme much harder. So is the freedom possible? Without bypassing. I am not going to give any answers here. I have a sense of the truth that resonates and continues to grow and expand and evolve. And it feels something to do with the inability to escape. Or even here, the deepest, darkest moments of suffering, in that pain, in that extreme, the story of self-hatred, the story of self-loathing, the story of torture and too much. And I don't want to be here anymore, and I want to let go, but I can't. And there's nothing to let go. So I'm trapped. And the freedom of allowing that to be as big as it is really not a problem. It's really not up to anyone to change. Feels different. There's a seeing. There's a little bit of a distance is the wrong word because that implies separation. I don't have another word right now, but there's a little bit of knowing that I can be that extreme. I can be that facet of an extreme without being defined by it. That if that is what's arising, it's here. Of course it's here. It's big. There's so much suffering on this planet. Of course it's here right now. And it doesn't fully buy it with compassion. It's right there with it. It's so holding it. It's so loving. And it's so tender and it's so present. It's not going anywhere. It's not spinning this anyway. It's not fighting the I don't want to be here. It's not fighting that I'm broken. It's not fighting that I'm alone. Because those are the extremes that arise in this world right now. But as big as it wants to get, there's still an inability to mistake that for the unconditional truth. And there's also no longer an ability to fight for relief. There's no longer an ability to scramble And I mean, there never was. There's just a quicker seeing of that. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is done. But no, today, it very quickly shifted, and the relief that doesn't belong to me. I didn't earn it. I don't deserve it. I don't mean that in a judgmental way at all. How beautiful the relief when it comes. And it comes. It still comes, even in an extreme world. And it will surprise us. And we will be so grateful for the unquestionable beauty of softness and here-ness and life when it's safe. Which it is. It returns to always the impersonal safety. Personal safety is not always possible. It's just not. So it almost feels like talking about the impersonal safety is kind of cruel and bypassing, unless it's arising, because otherwise we'll be seeking and running towards it and missing this. Even this, if it's pain. So can we live freedom from extremes in an extreme world? Well, how do you define freedom? Yeah, maybe sometimes. I said I wouldn't have answers, but there's an answer coming up. Yeah, maybe sometimes. Maybe the awakeness turning towards whatever is here allows the fleeing into unconscious extreme to come back to just this, not striving, not pushing, not pulling. It can be a freedom from continuing to go down that path and getting even further away from the ground, more shut off, more disassociated, wide open, more extreme freedom from, and there can be freedom as extreme. If the extreme conditions of the world that in many ways is so unconscious creates these huge waves that we are not separate from, pulls us in, then we are freedom as that extreme. Freedom as that school of fish that's just riding the wave together, and this collective murmuration of impersonal pattern. until maybe we find relief. Of course, there's never one constant, predictable pattern all the time. And much of the time, it's just this